Welcome to AM. My name's Richard Conway, and this is the platform for age group multisport athletes to showcase their journeys. Welcome along to AM. It's episode 20. I hope everything is good and you're all well. Back into lockdown again, unfortunately. But it was always going to happen, I think, after the Christmas period where things were so relaxed. But enough of that. We've just got to get through it as best we can and make the most of it. We've got our sport, we've got our health, we've got running, biking, swimming, yoga, strength training, plus all our daily endeavours that make up our full lives. And we've got each other, even though it might not be face to face. We can still FaceTime each other, still WhatsApp, still Instagram. So really lucky in that respect. So I hope you're all doing okay. I hope these podcasts help and give you a bit of inspiration. And thank you again for listening. Much appreciated. During lockdown, well, just as we were going into lockdown, headquarters have moved. So we've moved from a country setting where we lived for 23 years to town life. We've downsized, and this show's being recorded from our new home, and we have a little office now upstairs with a Zwift set up in one corner, a desk in the other corner, which my wife works from home occasionally as well, and hopefully it'll work all right. Might be a little bit noisier because obviously we're in town and more traffic, more people, more noise. But at the moment, as we're in lockdown, I don't think that's really going to be much of a problem. Moving can be a stressful occasion, but we've done all right actually. We were well organised and the move went smoothly. So quite pleased with how things have gone, and managed to get Zwift set up even though we haven't got the internet. I've hotspotted off my mobile phone, and I've managed to do a few rides on Zwift. One was a group ride with WBC, who I'm a member of, and that was nice to meet up with them on Sunday and do an hour on there and have a chat over the internet. It's really good to see them all, and so yeah, that was good. And although we're in town, we're literally 5 minutes away from the Wolves, Lincolnshire Wolves, so that's really nice as well. So all in all, under the circumstances of a move and in lockdown, we're doing all right. So moving on to episode 20, we've got age grouper Tim Fowler, who he's quite used to being in lockdown because he's a prison officer. And so he goes into how it's affected him, and he tells us that he was an ex-amateur jockey and horse trainer, and interestingly, how he's brought training horses into his own training in multisport, which I thought was quite ingenious, really. Tim tells us about his struggle with diet while he was riding horses, and back in those days there was no nutrition advice. He was just following what all the other guys were doing, and it wasn't very healthy, and he now realises that, and he's definitely addressed that in his multi-sport training. So that was quite interesting to hear. Tim's also the chairman of the Prison Officers Triathlon Club, and he goes into how that came about, and then we talk about how he got into multi-sport to begin with, and it set off him being dared by his younger It started by him being challenged by the younger officers in the prison, who dared him to take on a running race, which he duly did, trained for, and beat every one of them. And from that, he's just never looked back, and he's gained more confidence, and he managed to qualify for GB, not just once but several times over the years since he started. So hope you enjoy it. We'll see you on the other side. Oh, Tim.
Are we all right?
Yes. There we are.
Modern technology. Just about got it sorted.
Nice one. That's good news.
How are we doing?
I'm all right, yeah.
I think we're...
You there?
Yeah.
You happy? Setting
yeah.
up?
I'm all right. Yeah, I'm good.
Good. How are you?
Yeah, good. Yeah. It's a funny old time, but we're getting through it.
We are. Well, we think we are, and then they hit us with something else, don't they?
Yeah, you just got to keep going, haven't you?
Yeah, you have, yeah. I think fortunately, like-minded people seem to be getting through it a lot better than most, I think.
I think so. We've got sport, haven't we? We've got goals, so it just keeps you motivated, keeps you driven.
Yeah.
I think it's easy to get a bit despondent and a bit, nothing's going right, what's the point? But we've just got to keep on. We've got races for 2021. We might have a year like we had a year where we don't get anything in the early half of the year and race in earnest in the latter half, but it's something, isn't it? Something to keep going for.
That's right. And I think for us it's a lifestyle and it's a process, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a few days off from work this week, and it's still all training focused. Yeah. Even you've got your life stuff to do as well, but the core is training, and everything else fits around that for me at the moment. Yeah. That seems to be the best way to get through it.
I think so. Yeah. So thank you for coming along to AMP.
No, pleasure. Looking forward to it.
And where do we find you in the UK?
I'm in about 5 miles south of Buckingham.
Okay.
In very. Yeah.
And I believe you're a prison officer?
I am, yes. Yeah, chairman of the prison officers, the Prison Service Triathlon Club, which is, as it says on the tin, really, it's a triathlon club for prison staff and past.
Yeah. And is that...
we're spread out all around the country, so we only really sort of meet up at team events and things like that. So we're trying to organise meeting up, maybe a training camp or something like that, but we're going to do it this year and that.
And how long's that been going on?
Easily 20 years.
Right, yeah, so it's well established. Yeah.
Taken over from the last chap who ran it. I've been chair now 3 years. Chap before that, he had it for 4 years, and so back through really to sort of when triathlon started, I should imagine.
Yeah, cool. And so tell me a little bit about growing up and where you grew up and what you were into as a kid.
Grew up just the edge of the Chilterns, just above Marlow in Buckinghamshire. Went to school in Marlow. Sporting as a kid was rugby at school and horses. They start with and then moved on to horses. Parents had horses. Both working class people who just spent all their money on horses, really.
Yeah.
So that was their sport. So obviously, you go along and do what they do.
Absolutely. You don't have any choice, do you?
You don't get any choice. No. Getting a Land Rover, we're off. So it was sort of a natural thing to get on a pony and ride that about. Rugby at school, as I say, did that till I was 17. I remember an English teacher, we had to do one of these, what I want to be when I grow up, sort of things. And I put on it either a rugby player or a jockey.
Right.
And I reckon I've got all bases if I got bit. I could be a rugby player. Small, a jockey. As it was, I did a bit of both in a way. I played rugby till I was 17. But everyone else quite big early on, sort of 13, 14, and then everyone over, and I ended up as one of the smallest in the team.
Yeah.
So I went from front row forward to being out on the wing. So it was, that's sort of the progression, which actually was good for me for the horses, because it kept me fairly short. Well, 5'9", but short for what I need.
Yeah.
So first job from school was horses. That was it. That was up until, I suppose, mid-30s.
Right.
I just worked horses, raced them, trained. So it was amateur racing, amateur steeplechasing.
Yeah.
But it was always constant battle with weight.
Right.
Always, and starving. And back then there wasn't a knowledge of nutrition. So when I was trying to ride it was complete starvation to about half a grapefruit, a tin of tomatoes, and a slice of toast. That was a daily intake. It's no good. But we didn't know anything different. There wasn't the sports nutrition. There weren't the products. There wasn't the internet to get advice from. You just did what the other chap said. This. Yeah. And it was good. It was great fun. Absolutely great fun. Wouldn't change it. But the weight issue was the problem. And I broke my arm twice in the same. The specialist said, "Please don't do that again." So I went and got a proper job, and now I'm a prison officer.
So how long have you been a prison officer?
13 and a half years.
Right. You enjoy it?
Yeah, it's different. All the mid-30s, everything was outdoor lifestyle. Outdoor work. Yeah. Now this is obviously indoors all the time, but I find that the running, the cycling, the swimming it's just a brilliant release. Yeah. Brilliant release from working in that sort of goldfish bowl environment.
Yeah. And how's that been in lockdown then? Has that affected you?
It started off not a lot of difference, because obviously a prison environment is a lockdown, isn't it? So,
of course.
So it's we've obviously with PPE up. We're getting tested. The prisoners are getting tested now, so we're sort of more on top of it. But you're waiting for a pandemic to start in there. We've done the whole prison estate there has done really well in keep. It's not happened.
Good.
So really, really pleased with how we've managed it. That's as far as work, everything, been no change to life at all. You get up in the morning, go to work, come home. Obviously there's no working from home. I couldn't bring 10 up. Work. Everything's carried on pretty much the same. It's been all right.
Yeah. So how was your introduction into swimming, biking, and running then? Where did that come about?
That came about once I finished with the horses. I wasn't inactive. Obviously, it's a fairly active job and everything, but the weight piled on, which is an underlying theme, really. Put the weight on, and our jail was quite close to Oxford, and have the Oxford Half Marathon, which goes through the centre of the city. And a couple of the younger people at work pretty much dared me to get fit, do it, thinking that I wouldn't stand a chance. Their quote was, "You're too old back." So that was the kick up the backside. So I spent, they dared me in the April, and the race is in the October. So I just spent all summer just gradually building up the running distance, just getting more confident that I could, started off with run a mile without stopping, run a mile and a half, and just gradually increasing it. Got to, when did I get to September? And I thought, right, I need to do a race. So I did a local village 10k race. Everything went fine. Basically just kept going, got to the Oxford Half Marathon, and all the youngsters that dared me and basically teased me finished behind me. So I was so happy with that.
Yeah.
It was I did a 1:45, something like that, which, I was so happy with for a first ever half marathon.
Yeah.
So then I was fit.
Yeah.
But I don't want to waste this. My younger brother, unbeknown to me, had started running as well. So we saw the Marlow half marathon advertised, and it started and finished from our old school. So we thought, well, we've got to do it. Looked at the course profile, and it's proper Chiltern Hill, which to a lot of people, the Chiltern aren't really hilly if you're somewhere like Derbyshire or something, but to the Vale of Aylesbury, the Chiltern Hill are monsters. So we both ran that, and I'm right, it's November now, what am I going to do? So I just kept running and ticking over, and I'd seen I don't recall when I saw it, but I saw the Blenheim Triathlon on the telly once. And I always sort of thought, well, that would be nice to try. So I went on the cycle to work scheme, got a road bike, and spent the winter cycling. Came out in the April times, end of March, beginning of April, and did a local pool-based sprint triathlon.
Right.
I thought I was on it.
Yeah.
But man, I finished that. I was a wreck.
Yeah.
Absolute wreck. I had no idea how putting the three events together is a completely kettle of fish. A half marathon or a 10k or just going out on the bike. Put those three together and it's just a different world.
So was that the first time you'd been swimming then for that triathlon?
I've always done. I'd always swum.
Right.
Always swum in the pool. Not particularly brilliantly, but I'm not a fairly quick swimmer, but fairly strong swimmer, if you know what I mean. I can keep going. So the swim bit wasn't any. And to be fair, none of the individual bits are an issue, but put them all together for your first ever go, and it was just, I have no idea. So then I started to we didn't have so much Facebook and stuff like that then. We were using internet forums, weren't we, for talking to different people about triathlons. Yeah. And so I was on a couple of those and just gleaning information from people and heard about this thing called a bricks, which I'd never considered before. You don't, you're coming at it from complete novice.
Yeah.
So I started mixing it up, doing a bike then run, or a swim then bike, or just mixing it up, and just gradually through that summer, I can't remember for sure, but I think a couple more pull-based sprints, and then obviously the natural progression then is to want to get in a lake, so you've got to buy a wetsuit. Went to, it's not a very local lake to me, but it was the nearest one to me that did open water swimming at Box End, the other side of Milton Keynes, and just got my confidence, found that I preferred it to pool swimming.
Yeah.
So I spent the summer, I stepped up to Olympic distance, and that was all, had a brilliant summer. I consider I was a different athlete than what I was on that very first pool. Right. So that was the first year. Now I think I then, again on these internet forums, I thought, what am I going to do in the winter? I was still doing the odd half marathon and things just to mix it up. And then I heard about duathlon. Well, that sounds, that's good. That's good and early spring. So I did one with the Anglian Water, which is normally a qualifier for the Euros. But the sprint distance was the standard wasn't. And I did the standard because I sort of got into that distance.
Yeah.
And I turned up. The car park is just full of these people that just look professional. And there's me still on the same road bike, but I've progressed to clip-on aero bars. So I was overwhelmed. Just got that, and this again is a bit of a theme. It's a sort of they call it imposter syndrome.
Oh yeah.
Turn up, and you think, what am I doing here? But anyway, sprint wasn't a qualifier, so luckily all these super flashy looking people weren't in my race.
Yeah.
Cut a long story short, I had a great race and won my age group. So again, I came home and back on the internet forum and was discussing it with a few different people, and someone said, why don't you go for the GB Agegrouper team? And I thought, that's not,
So
that's
what year was that?
That must have been 2015.
15.
2015. It must have been 2015.
Yeah.
So obviously you get on the British Triathlon website, don't you? You find your qualifiers, register, and I must have gone to Bedford because that again is fairly local to me.
Right.
Just the other teams, and I did a nice enough race. It's flat, it's windy, twisty technical course. I seem to love it. Really got on well with it, but I was about 110% of the winner's time.
Yeah.
Because again, if you get a real quick guy and wins it, then it knocks you all down the percentages, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I was happy with that, and I thought, well, we'll see what happened. I did a few more triathlons that year. I remember coming home from work one day, because we worked different shifts, and I finished work. There was a message on the answer machine. Picked it up. It was British Triathlon. We're offering you a roll down base for a Vile. Is that how you say it? A Vile? In Spain.
Oh, right.
That
okay.
was
Yeah.
2016 ITU.
Yeah.
Offering you a roll down. We need an answer before 5 o'clock. So luckily I was on that, what we call an early shift.
Yeah.
If I'd been on any other shift, I wouldn't have picked that up in time.
Yeah.
So I hastily rang the missus and says, what do you think? Like, well, go for it. We'll get to school. So I rang them back and said, yeah, I'll take the place.
Yeah.
That was my introduction to
Fantastic.
EBT.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah. Right.
Absolutely.
So
brilliant.
yeah, that was the beginning.
Yeah, the beginning. And have you pretty much qualified every year since?
Yeah.
Yeah. And is it standard that you generally go for?
It is. It's a bit of a odd one. I go for the standard. I like the distances.
Yeah.
But I've written down actually here just to remind me what I have done.
Yeah, go on then. Just reel off what you've achieved so far.
So I've done the 2016 ITU. I've written down it. Qualified on a roll down. It was for my first ever one. It was a massive venue.
Yeah.
The transition seemed to go on for, and it was just totally overwhelming. Yet again, turned up, and we looked at each other and like, what are we doing here? Look at all these people. And all flashy kits, and by this time I'd progressed to a TT bike and a bit more idea of what stuff I should have. But even so, the American team just sort of in like a marching army, putting all their bikes down, all immaculate. Had a good race. Well, I think I put down I was 26th overall. I couldn't have expected any more. I qualified on a roll down, and it was early on in. So then, what did I do? 2017, I Saria, the ETU duathlon.
Yeah, so you were racing in the snow then, were you?
No, it was, well, that wind.
Yeah, the wind.
Mental. We went for I think we landed at Madrid and then a 3-hour drive to completely middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Snow on the mountains over as far as you could see. Wind factor, our hotel was up on a hill as well, out of town. Wind chill factor of about -3 as I go for just a gentle 5-mile run. Came back to the hotel and I can't breathe. I just can't, it just felt, whether it was the cold air or the altitude, I don't know. Anyway, day before the race was a glorious day.
It was.
I thought, this is good. It was a sprint day. Did the sprint go off the day before and have nice weather?
I think it was the same day, wasn't it?
Was it?
Yeah, I think
Unless the storm came in just in time for the bike leg of the standard.
It did, yeah, because I remember watching it.
I can remember going. There's you go over a bypass, wasn't there?
A viaduct, yeah.
Really was a flyover. We were hanging on to those bars with grim death, but I enjoyed it. It was a challenge.
Yeah, it was.
Wrestling. Qualified for that at Anglican Water, which is the localist qualifier to me, and pretty much every race that I've qualified for, I've either qualified at Anglican Water or Bedford. So later on that year, September, I did the ETU long distance triathlon at Almere, Challenge Almere.
Yeah. Completely
different kettle of fish.
Yeah.
Qualified for that the year before. I did at Hever Castle in the July. They do an iron distance.
Right.
What's my age group in that? So I thought, well, why not?
And how did you find switching from Olympic up to iron?
All right, because obviously the training and everything was gearing toward the iron at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So the standard distance duathlon was a B race really. Although I was ready for it, it was still in the back of my mind. I've got the long distance at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And that was, I don't know, I think Hever Castle was tough and hilly, very tough and very hilly. Whereas Almere, completely different, pan flat.
Yeah.
Mercy of the weather. Luckily, it wasn't windy. It rained a lot on the bike leg, but it wasn't windy, so that was good. And I'd said to my other half, if I get in under 11 and a half, I won't do another iron because training and the commitment is just it's a lot on us, but we enjoy doing it. On partners, it's obviously you're away, you're never you're always off doing something.
Yeah.
So I came in at 11 hours, 29 minutes, 30 seconds. So I've had to stick to my word.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But there's a twist that we'll get to in a bit. So then, 2018, I had 2 trips to Denmark. I did the Powerman, they call that the middle distance duathlon. I enjoyed that. That's a 10k run, 60k, 10k run.
Yeah.
Lovely air for cycling. Not flat at all. The fine hill. You had a cop section through a farmyard that was just littered with water bottles, of bottles pinging out of cages everywhere.
Yeah.
A short, sharp. That was good, but that was the 2018. That was a really hot spell where it was the same weekend as the London Marathon.
Right.
Everyone was melting.
Yeah.
It was really hot.
Yeah.
Great fun. Then later on went back to the Finn ITU championships in just another Denmark. Just you had to go across onto an island in the middle, didn't you?
Yeah.
So whatever it was there. Not so good there. After the Powerman, I had a niggle in my knee. I just couldn't shift, and I've had to reduce the run training and replace it with. It was fine on the bike, obviously fine swimming, but running was aggravating it. So I didn't do as much running. So I went into that kneel tape up. It was all right. There was a cobbled section which really aggravated it, but did my best.
Yeah.
And then this year, this March went to Northumbria.
Yeah.
Had a good race, but you could see the difference. Very early in the year. It was early March. We'd probably done minimal outdoor training, I reckon, as a GB team. I reckon a lot of us were in sheds and garage training.
Yeah.
I was 15th in my age.
It's not bad.
Fourth fastest Brit.
Yeah.
Shows how an advantage the Spanish had with their being able to outside and in nice weather.
Yeah.
It was clever of them, perhaps, to put it on so early, because it doesn't matter what time of year it is then down the south of Spain, does it?
That's right. Yeah.
But we were lucky to go. We
were.
We flew from Portugal, so we drove back the next day, got to Portugal, and then obviously there's all the rumours, will we get back, won't we get back?
Yeah.
We got home and it then, wasn't it?
It was,
lockdown.
Like you say, we were very lucky to be able to go there and actually at least get a race in, and we didn't know at the time, but it was to be the last one, wasn't it? So very lucky.
There's a gap there between 2018 and 2020. I did qualify for Pontevedra, but didn't go because I'd entered this absolute crazy duathlon called the Dragon Jump.
All right.
It went from Anglia to Swansea.
Okay.
Taking in running up and over Snowdon, running up and over Cad Idris, and up and over Pen y Fan.
Oh, right.
And cycling the legs in between.
Quite flat then.
Yeah. It was a bit, and it was in June, so the idea was glorious weather. We had that freak weather came. Every time I get, I've got a red tri-bike and a grey one, and every time the red one comes, it rains. I cannot seem to ride it in dry weather. And it absolutely tipped it the whole day. So I've got a support crew that take the bike from one side of the mountain to the other for you to get up the next leg, and they were trainers in the window with the fan heater going, trying to dry them out. Cycling. I think I got through about 7 pairs of socks. Just ridiculous, but such a great race.
Yeah, good.
Such a great race.
Good.
20 hours, 19 minutes in. A bit more than a distance.
Yeah. So you coach then, Tim?
No. I sort of because I used to train the horses. I sort of started off training myself in a similar sort of way, with people chasers. You're doing a lot of long, slow work to get the grounding in, and then a couple of short efforts and things. So I just started off basically using that knowledge to train myself.
That's fascinating.
And it seemed to work.
Yeah. But that's what they tell you to do, isn't it? 80% zone 2, 20%.
And that's now down the line we've come to be an actual thing, haven't we?
Yeah.
It's something that people are using a lot, 80-20 training.
Yeah.
I probably should have had a swimming coach. I think I blundered my way through it. I remember doing a qualifier at Grafton Water and age group. I came out of the water about 15th and finished off 5th overall. Well, if I'd have come out of the water in 5th, I might have had a chance of maybe doing a bit more. But I don't know. I think that's probably the one thing that I need is a swim coach.
Yeah.
Although rating more on duathlons.
Yeah.
So probably not necessary.
Yeah. Well,
I still do a triathlon. I still enjoy my triathlons, but I seem to have more success with the duathlons.
Yeah. But that's what I've said over the quite a few episodes now. You know, you've got to race to your strengths. So it is what it is, isn't it? If you're stronger doing a duathlon than you are a triathlon, if your swimming's not great, then why wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, and I seem to be able to cope with. I think personally, and other people have said it, I think duathlons are tougher.
Yeah.
Because you're set, especially the sprint and the standard distance, where you're setting off quick from the word go. There's no hanging back with these qualifiers, is there? No pace 10k and see where you can make it up. If you're not on it on that first run, then you're already, aren't you?
That's so true. So true.
I think I've got the ability to keep going when it hurts.
Yeah.
Which you need for a duo.
And that's massive, isn't it? That's massive, having that ability. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what advice and tips would you give to anyone wanting to get into multisport, whether it be duathlon or triathlon?
If it's triathlon, I think my one tip would be get a coach, even though I didn't.
Yeah.
Because no matter how fit you are, if you take brilliant, you're not going to cut it with everyone else. For just general advice is enjoy it. Don't do too much. What I mean by don't do too much, don't wear yourself out. Like we were saying, 80-20.
Yeah. Keep
it within what you can comfortably do and recover from.
Yeah.
If you finish your day, next day, you're still absolutely worn out, you've done too much, so pace yourself. I did, going back to the qualifiers, qualifier at Anglian Water, where I was desperate to qualify. I trained, got out on the first run, and there was nothing in the legs. I absolutely felt dreadful. Luckily, probably, on the bike section, a valve broke and I couldn't fix it, so I didn't finish.
Right.
2 weeks later, went up to Clumber Park, where I just backed right off the training and qualified with a fourth. So, you know, it's you know something and can stick to them.
Yeah. It's amazing.
I'm going to have a decent bank account. It's gonna...
Well, yeah, there is that. So do you do any strength and conditioning as well? Yoga, anything like that?
Yeah. I never did. And I think as we get older, it's get creakier. Got to look after your body. So there's a woman in a village, she used to be a snowboarder, starting up her own PT and training, and she sends out emails with strength and conditioning things to do.
Yeah.
So she takes them to you. So I just thought, I'll give her a customer to work on.
Yeah. So
she's giving them exercises to do. To be fair, I can feel the difference with core strength, especially.
Yeah.
I've always, since that knee injury, since then I've done a lot of rehab and prehab exercises on my legs.
Yeah.
I went to a physio who basically said, you know, your knee's got a weakness, but you can get by it by having everything else strong and working well. So, yeah, I don't do enough, but I do some.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's good because, like you say, as we get older, we do need that because the muscles start wasting away, and we need the strength to keep going. And you know, doing some strength and condition is important as well as having the flexibility, isn't it? So
because we're all trying to run times as if we were 40.
Yeah.
When we're over 50, you know,
absolutely.
In your head,
you're
there, aren't you? You're still. So to enable you to keep doing that as injury, you've got to do more. You've got to do your strength, your stretching. I go for regular sports massage.
Yeah.
I don't stretch enough, but again, I do some. There aren't enough hours in the day, to be fair, if you've got a job as well.
Well, that's it. If you're working full-time like you are, that's it.
Yeah.
So what's your favourite resources and things that you go to, that you look at?
I use YouTube.
Yeah.
Used to use the various internet forums back in the old days, Facebook and things like that.
Yeah.
A lot of... Obviously, you've got to filter out what's good advice and what, are wives' tales and things. But a lot of the YouTube... I find on YouTube that I've got some sound advice. I use the GTN and GCN sites. And just talking to people at races.
Yeah.
Classic. I was trying to qualify for the sprint distance. 2019, I went up to Darley Moor, a little motor racing circuit. They had a qualifier up there. And the first run was 2 laps. And then it was it 9 laps? It's really tight racetrack. Absolutely loved it. It seemed to suit me. But it wasn't draft legal. So, we were flying around. It was wet again. I got the red bike out at night. It was wet. Cornering in the wet, loving it. Passing people, absolutely just got into it. And did one too many laps.
Oh.
Because I passed transition and there weren't many in it. I looked at the bike because I'd lost count. I got so overexcited, I'd lost count. Relying on the bike computer. And as I came up the line, I couldn't work out if I'd got one more lap to do or if that was it.
Yeah.
I thought, I don't want to come in too soon. So I went up, and then halfway through that lap, realised I'd done one too many. So came in, set out on the run like a man possessed, and obviously I didn't make the cut. Still got a 109%.
That's good going, considering you did a lap extra.
Yeah. Again, talking to someone, elastic bands on your tri-bars, and just ping them over each time you finish a lap.
Yeah.
It's that sort of advice from people that you don't... If you've not thought of it yourself, someone else would have thought of it, won't they? And made mistakes. So, as well as YouTube, chatting to people at races, there's so much knowledge out there. So many people, and of course, friendly bunch. Although we're competing against each other, we're happy to help each other as well.
Because we've all been there, haven't we? And we all make the same mistakes. Yeah, Brilliant.
You'll see, you might be parked next to someone who's forgotten his bike helmet or something, or I would put a spare pair of shoes, just in case. And likewise, you'd like to think, if it happened to me, someone had, I went to an event somewhere where they brought their wheels but forgot their skewers. It's just little things like that. We're all such a friendly group of people.
Yeah, brilliant. What's your favourite piece of equipment?
Well, it was my bikes.
Yeah.
I love my bikes. Obviously, with lots and everything, now it's my turbo.
Right.
Elite Director.
Yeah.
Got it cheap.
Yeah.
Alfred's bring. Wouldn't be without. I've now got myself a rocker plate for it.
All right.
Yeah, that's a different level again.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So what does it? I obviously know the sort of concept, but does it make it harder or just more realistic?
It makes it a bit more realistic, a bit more comfortable. You're not set in one position.
Yeah.
Takes a bit of used to work forward because obviously you're...
Sure. It's like being out on a proper bike.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you're not that strong in your core, you're just leaning one way or the other all the time. So it adds a bit more to it. I think we're going to be spending a long winter on our turbos again, aren't we? So it was just something I fancied, got it.
Yeah.
With the two together, it's brilliant.
Yeah. Have you got the handlebar gizmo which moves as well?
No, I think that's a bit too much. Well, I think with the scary one, I think it's starting to get a bit unstable. I've got my front wheel strapped to the rocker plate, so that when you're out in the saddle putting an effort in, you're held there. Your front wheel's held there. I think if it was a bit wobbly, well, with my luck, I'd fly out the side door. I used to fall off horses.
I was going to say, you should be good being an ex-jockey. You should be fine and stable on the horse. Pardon the pun.
Fall off from a fair bit.
Yeah. Brilliant.
But that's my favourite bit. Yeah.
Cool. So, what are your short-term goals and longer-term goals? All being well in 2021.
Short term, obviously I've got the Euro and the Worlds 2020 if they go ahead.
Yeah.
So it's Rome and Holland, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's on the agenda. What I'm aiming for this year.
Sure.
Thinking I might have a crack at some sprint triathlons and duathlons early, if we can race early.
Yeah.
And see how I get on with those. I seem every time I do sprint, I seem to do all right. But I don't know if it's a value for money. What it is, I quite like doing the Olympic distance because you're racing for over 2 hours.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Whereas a sprint is you might drive for 3 hours to race for 1.
Yeah.
I don't know. But if I do a few and get and do quite well at them, I think I might target them this year.
Yeah. Bit
I'm a bit all over the place with distances. I can race a sprint. I can do an iron distance. I don't know. I seem to enjoy them all.
Yeah,
it's just you've got training.
Yeah, it's good to mix them up, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Keep you interested.
Yes, that I think is the thing. I think you can use sprints as like we used to with the horse. A horse that might run over 3 miles. You put him in a short race just to sharpen him up, just to keep interest.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same with me. It's do a sprint. You're on the red line from the word go, and you put maximum in, don't you? But for a short time. Whereas you do like I think my preferred triathlon distance is a middle distance because it's not. I think you can for someone of my ability, you can still race a middle distance, whereas the full iron distance, more I think you've got to pace a long distance. I'm not good enough, ever going to be good enough or fit enough to be at the racy end of an age group in a long distance.
Yeah. And what about your long term then? Long term goal?
Just keep going as long as I can.
Yeah.
It's keeping me 55 now.
Yeah.
I did see as you got older might be a little bit nearer meddling because but it's just not working like that. Everyone's still going, aren't they?
Yeah.
We've all got with our nutrition and our training and strength and conditioning. We're all still going, aren't we? We're keeping fit and going. I'd love to get just the top 5 at international. I'd be really happy with.
Cool.
We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see how the year pans out.
Yeah, well that's it, isn't it? We've got to wait. Got to wait and see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brilliant. Well, that's it. That's I think it's a great place to finish it. So thank you ever so much for your time and coming on and telling us your story.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a pleasure, and I hope everything turns out for us all a bit better than this year. Can't be much worse, and we get to see each other at races, and and we can at least keep training anyway, can't we, over there?
We've got our sheds and pain caves.
Absolutely. So cool.
Brilliant. Cheers.
All right, mate. Cheers. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye.
What a top bloke. Really enjoyed that. Great to hear Tim's journey and how he's coping in these COVID times. And as he says, he's quite lucky that it hasn't really affected his working life too much. And the only things he's missing out on are races. He's still training and enjoying that. So that's great to hear. And I'm looking forward in keeping tabs on Tim and hoping that he gets his goal of finishing on a podium at some point in the future. And I love his attitude of his longer term is just to keep going. And I guess when you reach a certain age, as we all do, that, yeah, we just do want to be able to keep going and keep enjoying what we're doing, and anything else that comes along, well, that's a bonus. So, yeah, great attitude to have. Thanks again, Tim. Great to chat to you. And that's it for another episode. I hope you've enjoyed this. Hope you've enjoyed Tim's story. And we shall see you for the next one. Hopefully have some internet by then and make things a little bit easier. So, as we always say, don't forget, stay safe, keep training and love the process.